Hi, I'm Chantel with 141 Design Company. This is our live stream event on Friday. Welcome, everyone. If you're here live, thanks for joining. And if you're here on the replay, this is a section where we're going to go over 3 new items that are now available in our shop. We've got a series that we're working on that's more, it's basically like a reproduction sampler in wood form, if that makes sense. I'm taking items that are found at the vintage antique mall or just at a flea market somewhere, but a vintage item. And we're reproducing that in with our laser cut pieces so that we can use it in cross stitch display or just in our stitching tools. I am here in the shop live this afternoon. We do have Denise here working with us, so she'll come over and say hi. And let me get to the comments here. Or if you're here, please say hello so I can see your comments. And we'll get started with our new items. All right. If you've seen it on Instagram or Facebook, I have been sharing that the stitching. Oh, hi, guys. Thanks, Renee. Hi, welcome. That I've been working on stitching the animal crackers from Stacy Nash. All of this information I will link in the description box below on this video with the different, all the different things. As soon as the video uploads, I'll go back and edit those things. These guys were so much fun to stitch because what I did was just a little recap of the crazy that just occurred because I know you guys are all in on it. Hi. Okay. I want to say hello to Barbara and Dawn. And let's see here. We've got Carol here, Cindy. Welcome, everybody. Oh, I'm so glad you guys could join me this afternoon. I didn't know if a Friday in the middle of the day would be okay, but if you're here on replay, welcome. So what happened was we obviously went to market at the beginning of March. We came back, got the pre-orders out. There was not big delays, but there were some delays with some of them because of having to get charts from a designer who wasn't able to attend market at the last minute because she had, a sad thing happen in her life. And so we're still kind of taking care of a few of those stragglers that are still coming in. But for the most part, that is all over with and done. And then, of course, Brian, my husband, he loves to ski. Okay, so we have a ski trip we take each year. And of course, skiing is kind of weather related. So it's our dependent, I guess it is. So we took off at the end of March and went to Keystone, Colorado for a week. And he and I went skiing. Well, as I was getting ready to leave for our ski trip, and I've never been able to stitch in the car. That's just something, it's just so bumpy. I just couldn't do it, but I really desperately wanted to try again. So I thought, well, maybe I could try stitching the animal crackers while I'm in the car because I was taking a close look. We do have them all in stock as well. I was taking a close look at them and I thought, well, I don't have to count away anywhere. It's all just kind of like, all in one clump. So I took them with me and yes, it was great stitching fun because I was able to get this one finished. I did Clovis on the road. The little hazel I had already stitched. This was my first one. And then just before we took off, I had finished Lily and Maggie May. I got that one done too while I was traveling. So it was just so fun to get a collection just kind of started right out of the gate. Also, while I was out there, I knew that I was following along with Carrie, Tiger Lily Designs, because I knew she was doing a lot with the crackers and she was teasing that she was going to have a tutorial coming up on how to actually put them together. So I want to refer you over there. I'm going to link it here. She has it available in her Patreon, which you are going to want to head over and get into that Patreon because Carrie shares so much great information on finishing things and tutorials. She did the tutorial that I followed along to do the full finish on putting the crackers together in the end. I'm going to talk about that for just a minute so that you can see exactly what I did. So once we got back from skiing and all of that, I had some notions about, got some people coming in, some ideas about how to display them and how I wanted to put them together in the end and put them out for display. So I had those going on in the back end as well. We're going to get to those in a second. But to fully finish them, I needed a fabric because, like I said, I was following along on Carrie, Tiger Lily Designs tutorial. I needed some fabrics for the back. She uses a couple different fabrics on the backs of hers because she creates a pocket, and then behind the little pocket is where you're going to stitch all of your things. I took a close look at all of my fabrics that I had in my stash and determined that many of them were just way too bright. And I wanted more of a vintage appeal to them and a vintage look. So I took off to head out to the fabric store. And as I was heading that direction, I was going past the antique mall and I thought to myself, maybe there's some stuff in there that's already like old and worn and vintage and grungy and time distressed, basically, like a quilt top. So I pulled into the antique mall and I found one. And I was so happy to find this. This is some of the scraps and the leftovers of it. So what I did, you can see I just went to town grabbing whatever I wanted to out of it. I grabbed an entire quilt top. Now this wasn't quilted. They hadn't finished it, which I find that a lot at the mall. Like you'll see quilt tops over there. And it just had all these random pieces of fabrics put together. And as you can tell, they were already worn and soft and vintage, and I loved it. So this was $48 for all of it. I have plenty still to go. And I cut pieces from the back of it that matched my crackers. So let me show you each one. So this is Hazel. Let me get that in there. And then her back looks like this. And yes, this is the little pocket, and there's a hole back here that I did the stuffing with. So that's nice and tight, but that's her back look. Clovis. Here's her finish. Whoops, dropping them. Let me get there. And here's the back of Clovis. You can see with all that. And yeah, all of this fabric was in that quilt. So it was awesome. And then Maggie May. I did use all of the called for. I know I've seen a lot of them out there that, people are switching up the colors, which are so precious. But I went ahead and used all of the called for colors of the weeks because when I did like them. And two, I didn't have time to really think about it. So I didn't feel like changing. So this is the back of Maggie May. And see, it's all, wrinkled and worn. And I think there's even maybe some little holes in the fabric. But that's what I was going for. That was my look. And then Lily and her background. And then, yes, there was even some orange for the back of, what is this guy? Let me look. I forgot his name. Oh, Renard. Yes, this is Renard. You're probably screaming at me. Y'all know these crackers like the back of your hand by now. Who's stitching these? Tell me in the comments which one you're stitching and what you have finished, all of those things. Share what you've got going on. So there they are. Those are the ones that I have started. My children, these are literally one of the first things that the girls have just gone gaga for. They love them. I know it's taking them back to Beanie Baby days, so I understand exactly why they love them so much. So just to go back over that, I finished them all with a vintage quilt top. I used Carrie Tiger Lily's tutorial to finish them with, made it super, super easy. So I'm going to refer you to go watch hers. Then I looked for some vintage items and just figured out how I wanted to put them on display. Let me show you all three items of those. And this is also the launch of all three of these are available on our website now. You'll see them in the featured products. So you can put your orders in for them. The girls have been cutting them. They'll be shipping out during the next week. Okay, Pat's sharing with us that Pat has hers. She's got her patterns, but she hasn't started them yet. And Larry is working on Lily. And it's a beautiful sunny day in Texas. Oh, we had snow yesterday. I'm in Michigan. There was snow. It was just ugh. Okay, the stuffing, what I used for stuffing was I ordered, Laura's asking us about stuffing. I ordered the wool roving off of Amazon. That was something that Nicole from Nicole Spohr had recommended. So I used hers. Anyway, so wonderful. Okay, we've got some some stitching going on and some sharing. I'm so glad y'all's making that, getting your stuff stitched. Okay, the first one I'm going to show you, this is called the Stitch Cubby. Let me find my original. All right. The Stitch Cubby is the display I shared where they were all stacked on top of each other. There is a giant drawer that I had purchased that had all of the cubbies that were all put together. In my mind, I thought that would be fantastic, but I don't know how I would ship out something like that, or let me show it to you. It's right next to me. I just have to unload a couple things. The piece is quite large because it was a drawer. Let me put it down here. So this was a drawer that, because you can see it's got handles on the top. So there might be things that you could find at your antique mall as well, or vintage place, but this drawer had all of them. I do still think this would be a fantastic way for displaying all of them. But because I couldn't reproduce that gigantic drawer for you guys with the laser cutter, I did them individually. Okay, so now back to that. So that was my initial inspiration piece that I have here in the shop that I picked up at the mall. But then I found this flower box, which ironically enough is exactly the same size as those cubbies you just saw on the drawer. And it's even got like the old stamp on it. And then it has what is called a finger joint, is how this box has been put together, were these finger joints. So what we did is Brian is crafting all of the reproduction pieces for me. He's doing all of the CAD work in order to get it exactly right. So he went ahead and got the measurements done up so that we have now this box with the finger joints. And you can see those. I'm going to grab another one. I just remembered I didn't bring it over here. The finger joints for the same measurement as this, so that you can display each cracker inside with a few other accessories to create your vignette. And you can get them individually. These are $15 and it'll come flat. You will have to put it together. The directions are in there, but the finger joints make it very, very easy and very secure for putting it together. And then you're just going to paint it or stain it in the colors of your choice. This would go great as a stain because these are done in maple veneer. And what I'm going to do, Denise, just one moment. I'm going to have Denise grab another one. Could you grab the other box that is just the stain? I left it up front because I want to talk about the finishes that you're seeing on these pieces. Let me hold this up. This is a very grunged look. Okay, so this is what I'm calling like that vintage. It's not quite the texture clay that I do, but this is more of a vintage grunge look where I've actually beat the piece of wood up. Oh, perfect. I've beat it up. I've distressed it. I even took, I think you can tell. Oh, it's not as dramatic. Will you grab a couple more of these boxes for me? On a couple of them, I gouged off the side so that it would look very worn and smoothed over and very, very time warmed on this. That's time worn. I did it on the clipster as well. So that's what this finish is on this piece. But I did take a one that is just stained. So what I wanted to do was show you this one. And, oh, here we go. Let's see if you can see. Right here, like you can tell right along the edge here where I chipped away at it, you can see ding marks on the inside. And this is that vintage textury look that I am working on with creating for that old vintage look, right? And then I've got 5 of these, and you saw them in the photos where I stacked them all together and then did a little vignette for each one of the crackers inside there. We'll talk about some accessory items in just a minute, but I wanted to show you a box that is just put together with stain. What you're going to see on this is that there is a back side and a side basically, and a B side to our wood. All right. So the A side is very smooth, very fine. This is what took to the stain much lighter. The B side took the stain, it's a lot coarser, took the stain a lot darker. So I stained all of my pieces and then I matched up those pieces once I glued it together. We'll talk more about it, but if you have questions, throw that in. But that's what that looks like. You can always just paint them. I wanted to be able to see those finger joints, and I wanted to show you up close a little bit more detail. But you don't have to do that really, really grungy look. That's the point of all that. You can just do a plain stain and it's going to look great. It's going to look great. So this is called the Stitch Cubby. That's here. Hi guys. I can see your comments. So if you have questions on these as we go, the Stitch Cubby is 8 inches tall. I think this is 5 inches. Dimensions are on the website as well for showing. And then I can kind of hold it up, but you can see how each one of them fits in there pretty good. Now, I do know that some of those animal crackers are taller. These I stitched on 36 count linen, and all I did was grab linen from my stash. So these are just random, natural, neutral shades of linen that I decided to use. Some of them are maybe a little darker than others. This was a little bit darker linen that I used for Clovis so that the white edge of her face would show up really nice. And these are they're all just neutral shades, right? But they're 36 count, so that's the size range that you're getting with the Stitch Cubby. Do we have any questions on Stitch Cubby? So I'm looking all over the place. So, all right, that's our first new release. The second one that I shared with you is a reproduction of this amazing tray with its angled edges that it's just been floating around here in the shop. Now, I got a little bit of a hoarding tendency. I'll admit that here. So I've got a lot of things that are just things I've had. Some things I go and find. I just love vintage treasures. And so this is going to be called the Stitch Caddy. The reproduction version of it is also featuring those finger joints to keep it nice and secure. Plus, I think it looks really cool. And it allowed us to be able to put this together at an angle. So this is the Stitch Caddy. It does have that handle in the middle, has 2 pockets on either side. This is measuring about 12 inches wide, 8 inches across. Each one of these is 3 inches wide, so you've got that. And then there's a 2-inch depth. This is the second display version that you might have seen on Instagram, the photos of it, where I filled the entire Stitch Caddy up with the fun little crackers. Now, this book, I believe, let me refer to my note here. The Stitch Caddy is $25. So that's also available. Now they do come like in flat. And so you do put them together. But again, it's just a puzzle and it's very, very easy to compose and put together. These pieces, I also did that grunge distress look on this. And it's basically with creating texture, blending colors together. These are brown in tone, so I know I used the dark brown and then some cream colors is what I blended together. So I used just 2 colors, like a creamier, I think it's crinoline is the name. Faded burlap is also a great one for that. Our paint is on order. We have a big restock coming of the paint. We're just waiting for freezing temps to break, and so the big restock is on the way. With the shipping, we don't want paints to freeze. So we're into the non-freeze weather zone now. So we've got paint restocking, faded burlap, the layered chocolate, dark browns like that, and the whites and the creams all blend really nicely for putting this together. So again, Stitch Caddy. I want to talk a little bit about the items that I put into the Stitch Caddy to give you a reference for things you can add, or even to the cubby, right? This is a plant version. I use this a lot in staging. It's really fun because I like how small it is. I like that I can bend the, it's like wired, so I like to be able to bend them. I like that it's very light and airy. It comes in like a little glass, shot glass, and you can see the roots for it. This I find at Hobby Lobby. It is in the section, I don't know what it's called, but it's in the section where like the fairy garden things are. There's more ribbons and things like that down that section. That's where the moss is sold, all of the green, those types. That's where you'll find this little tiny plant. I'm pretty sure it's only like $10 too. But the little tiny plant, he just tucks in really nicely in a lot of different small areas. So I used one of these. I also took scraps from the quilt top that I had, some extra scraps after, like putting the interfacing on and cutting it away, and then made these like little bean bags. There's a little bit of polyfill in there, just some cheap polyfill I had, and some of those poly bean things. So these are acting kind of like little props to help fill space while I'm waiting for more crackers to be stitched, because I can continue to just kind of put crackers in the tray and fill it up that way. But these are kind of like space holders. So if you only have like 3 right now and you're still stitching and adding to your collection, throw in a couple pillows because you can do those for space holders. I also had found some wooden spools at the antique mall, and I just put some of Lady Create's chenille, wrapped it around there. They kind of matched the color tones within my boxes. These also worked in the cubbies very nicely for adding extra little accessories. Now, each one of the animal crackers also comes with an accessory that you can stitch. So you might be able to stitch those up too and stick them in with your cubbies. This is another one of those wood spools. And I just, I forgot the color of this. It's a lace from Lois of Lady Creates as well, which we have an order in with those. They're not here yet. So you can grab these things on Lady Creates Etsy shop. There's lots of great things there. I even had some old spools from like Aurifil spools, and I wrapped some of that vintage twill around this one. Got a kind of a dangerous pin there, but these little wood spools from there. You could even paint. You could order some of those little wood spools right off of Amazon, stain them, wrap some vintage things. You could take, if you're going in the vintage route, you could take some old vintage fabrics and just rip them into shreds and wrap that around the spools and have some things there. Then I also created my own little stand by I had a whole container full of old vintage threads that probably came in something else I bought at one time. And I grabbed some colors that mimicked Renard. So he had a little something to stand with, and I glued those together. So that created another little accessory to put inside there. Just throwing ideas at you guys. I had some tiny little buttons in a little glass jar. That was fun to put in. This is it's an old rusty, it's a measuring cup. And this was, again, something that I picked up at an antique mall. These little rulers came from Stacy Nash. She has those rulers available. And if you need a ruler, Denise, do we have the rulers listed on the website to order? Oh, okay. Can we add that separately? Okay, we can add the little tiny rulers onto the website. We've just had them for sale here in the shop because we picked them up when we were at market, but we'll add little rulers onto the website as well and make that go live and active. There are a number of different rulers. This one is probably one you're going to want to grab. It says, I need all the animal crackers. And then there's a couple others, but Stacy Nash has her name on the back of each one, like lasered. So that's kind of fun to tuck in with your collection as you're sharing, like putting it all together. And then I had old oval, like queen hoop. I don't use it to stitch with, and it fit nicely in the, in the tray. So those are just some ideas of things you could stick in, things you could make, by adding extra pillows. You could probably make like a long skinny pillow too that would lay down in the tray just to kind of act as fillers. Of course, greenery, felt balls, all of those things are going to work. So make it your own and have some fun with it. That is called the Stitch Caddy. So just to review, we have a Stitch Caddy that's a brand new piece from our reproduction section. We have the Stitch Cubby. That's a new piece. And then we have one more new thing to introduce. And this is called the Stitch Nook. The reproduction piece that I went off of is this little guy right here. It does have a drawer in it. So this is the antique original, but I love the shape and the styling of this with that cubby area and things like that. So Brian worked his magic and he built us this Stitch Nook. Now there's no drawer. We're lowered this piece here so that we'll be able to see our stitching better. I'll bring it in here closer. It is stitched in the same or painted in the same fashion with the, well, this is just plain on the back. I know it's hard to see. And then the sides show that old worn. This is also featuring the finger joints on this piece. And the Stitch Nook is going to be a great one to be able to maybe add a ribbon to. I had tied some of that vintage twill around it. It's also one that you can use it for putting a stitch on the back and then filling with some greens or something. It will hang on the wall. So you can hang it up or it will stand. You can see it does have a stand. It is raised a little bit in the inside for where that bottom is going to be. The Stitch Nook is also something that could house a couple crackers. It's hard for me to see which, so they can stand in there with some other accessories. So if you only have one or two and you want to hang this on your wall and then, add, so we could do this going backwards. Oh, here we go. Add some greeneries and things like that. You can tuck those in to the Stitch Nook and just feature one or two. Or if you have the taller ones, this would be a good idea because you can put the taller ones. They're going to come up all the way to here. Let me give you a few more details about the Stitch Nook, especially for mounting stitching onto it. These, the area from here, if I can do this without looking, there we go, here to here is at overall 8 inches. So the width is 7, this length is 8. You could do up to 8 by 7 inches for a stitch on this. I know this is looking like a great vertical stitch mount. However, I think that a square is going to fit in here really nicely. So I think square finishes up to 7 by 7 are going to look fantastic in the Stitch Nook on the background. We'll play more with it and show more details on it, but I just wanted to feature it here because it is part of our reproduction series. So those are the 3 new items that we have in the shop, and I'm just so thrilled to share them with you. Now, I'll also let you know that we do have all of the crackers that I have finished and stitched. All 5 of those charts are ready to order. They are here in the shop as well, so you can add those to cart if you're grabbing the other things. We have a couple extras that I haven't done yet. One of them is Harriet. She was a new release from Market. Primrose is another one, that cute little bunny guy. And Nettle. Nettle is the rabbit with the removable mask, or you can stitch the mask or not. I probably would just do no mask at this point. And then Bobbin. I think I need to get Bobbin done because I think Bobbin could tuck into one of the cubbies with another one because it's kind of small. So those are 3 more that are here. The others are in order, but they're simply out of stock right now in other places. So you might be able to find the rest of the guides in other sections, but we are continually putting them in our order to add to our shop. So do we have any questions? Let me go over here. So I don't have Welcome to the North Pole in right now, Kelly, to answer that question. And thank you, Elaine, so much. She just says that she likes the displays, basically. That's very sweet of you. And then looks like Kay, we've got an she's fallen. She hasn't fallen down the animal cracker hole, but she thinks she's doomed. I do too. I think that you stitch one and it goes to, one leads to the next. So basically, I guess you can't give a mouse a cracker, we'll call it. Can't give him a mouse a cookie. You're going to need the rest of them too. Okay, so the other details that I have for you guys. or just updates for since we've talked last, I guess, is the Clipster. Right now, there is a stitch along going on for, oh, I'll have Denise bring up. Will you bring over the Clipster board with Kathy's stitch on it? And then you can meet Denise too. So we'll meet Denise. Denise is here working with us. She's my sister and she's here working with us now. So it's been so fun, so nice. Come on in, Denise. Well, here, I'll scooch over. Oh, I didn't get you a chair.
No, we didn't.
You have to just squish in.
I'll just go down.
There we go. This is my sister, Denise. So everyone say hi to Denise. She's here for sure Thursdays and Fridays. So you can call the shop and you'll talk to Denise and she's taking care of so many different things. So this is the Clipster board. Now we'll have our motto. The thing I wanted to talk about with the Clipster board is we've had requests for the scissor and the bobbin and the button. I'll have those up on the website. Just have to take a picture of them and put them up on the website. We're going to do a pack of them is what we landed on to do. And so there's going to be a few scissors, a few bobbins, and a few buttons all in one accessory pack that you can add to whatever it is you want to add to use for accessories on the Clipster. The other thing that is happening right now is Shari. Shari Moss has a floss tube channel as well and does a fantastic job, has a stitch along going on right now. And the rulers, Beth is asking when the rulers will be added to the website. We'll get those up as well. Barbara's saying hello, Denise.
Hello, Barbara.
So we will get the scissors and things. These are all, we'll put them on the website this afternoon because I needed to add these as well. The Clipster board was also painted with that distressed look, but there's a stitch along going on right now with the Craft Room series of stitching off the first one here, and then follow Shari because I'm thinking she's going to show you great ways of finishing the items for the Craft Room series. Craft Room is going to have 2 more charts that are coming with it, along with there's a extra chart inside there. So that was one that I thought I'd go ahead and share. This is what the Clipster board looks like, just plain. So you can paint it however you want to. It's really cool. I love the way this one, the file had extra little, like a little raised thing there that you stick in so that it literally raised the clip up. The designer who did this file was fantastic. I loved it. It is not a functional clipboard, but it does have that extra thing. And there are holes on the back of this one. So this is a great one for hanging up. What else should we share with them today? Anything new? Oh, Gentle Art. I think Alexis is in the back right now. Gentle Art just emailed us and they are ready with our order. So they will be sending that as well. We have that coming. Oh, I know what it is. We're going to talk to a little bit. Sure. We got some other things she'll bring over to show. And the other thing I wanted to share, this is kind of where it's like, full court press around here. We're getting ready for our retreat we're not getting ready. We're in the final stages now of the retreat with, we also have the pins from Just Another Button Company for Kathy's other 2 new releases. So those are in the shop as well. But we're putting the final touches now on the spring break retreat, which is here in our town of Williamston. We meet in our retreat location right here in the gymnasium. And this spring break retreat is with Nicole Spohr. We're working on all of the final details for that now. So I'll put an email out too if you're coming to the retreat. We've got a little bit of an update. Of course, there is a smalls exchange. We do have a brag table that we'll have. So if you're coming to the retreat, bring your full finished pieces to share with everybody else. There will be a freebie table. So if you have some things you want to get rid of, definitely bring those along and throw them out on the freebie table. And then some prizes and things like that we've got for you. But we have, this one is a surprise. We did not send out a pre-stitch for this one because Nicole is doing some really fun things. So she's got a surprise design. Nicole has done a design for us. She has got a surprise design incorporating some great multimedia type things that are going to go all together. Of course, there's wood products. Of course, there's paint. Of course, there's fun. And of course, there's a catered Cancun dinner for our spring break because it wouldn't be spring break unless we were eating Mexican food from Cancun, right? So we've got that for one evening. It's fantastic fun. Our retreats are this retreat is scheduled for the beginning part of May. There are a few seats open. If you have a wild hair and want to join us, especially if you're here in Michigan, you can just pop over. Go ahead and check out the details there. Our next retreat is in the fall. That's with Robin Pickens. This one is full and it's sold out. It has been sold out for a while because, you know, it's a cool one. Oh, they're all cool, but the timing on the spring break one has been kind of rough because it's also our Michigan State spring graduation. So there's that. But we're still plowing forward and having a great time. Even with the chaos. The fall one, if you want to be put on the wait list, go ahead and just get on there and register. Just like go to it just like you're registering, and it'll give you the option for, put yourself on the wait list. And if spots open up, it alerts the wait list to let you know. I think that's about it. Do you guys have any other questions? I know this lives are always so random and I apologize for that, but that's what makes them fun too, I guess, right? And so this one is, Friday, April 11th is this live that's going up. I do have some tutorials and things coming too, because I know you guys want to know how to put those together. There's directions for them, but I know you're putting things and doing your designs and you can all do them. They're not hard. They're really easy. You got this. You got this. But do you have any other questions? Anything that I've missed or anything that you've been looking for? Oh, I did have also a request for our stitching stand. So that is another new item that it's not new, but it's going on the site. So we'll have the stitching stand up as well. I will get ready here to sign off with you just a little bit so I can get back to work and get all those things put together for you. But if you have any other questions, just shoot them at me now. It's been fun hanging out with you guys again. And I hope you guys have fun with the Stitch Cubbies. All right, I'm going to go ahead and sign off and wish you a great, happy spring. I hope you're all getting all your yard work done and all that. We're going to have better weather here in just the next week or so. So hopefully flowers and all that will be out soon. And check out the website. I'll put more information up on there. And I will talk to you soon. Bye, guys.